The 2025 NFL futures betting market is heating up and it's time to capitalize. We do this in this episode, giving you our best picks for the Super Bowl, division winners, awards, and more. Sit tight. It's the IBT podcast coming right at you.
I've been going dummy, out of bounds, putting on a clinic. Stick around, carrots in my hardware. KC, caught him in the crosshair. Look at me, been the guy calling Mr. MVP. Keep your ass on the bench by my MPC. Earn my stripes like I fix this league. Your dog's on the turf, my dog's in the street. You can find me somewhere in between. Never a dull moment like a movie scene. About to do the ops like I did this beat. Let them keep talking RG3. Coming to you live. This is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
All right. It is Tuesday, March 25th, 2025. This is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, your place for both a refreshing and feel-good take on fantasy football and NFL gambling. Can you believe it, boys? We're already 3 months into the sensational year that is 2025, which means it's time to place some bets. We'll certainly do that tonight as we give you an early look at the 2025 NFL futures betting market. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock. I got to tell you, boys, been a busy start to the year here at IBT. Finally got almost everything done on my pre-draft to-do list. So cheers to that. Cheers to you guys as well, because you were a big part of that. I got two great guys on stage with me today, including a man who's a big business, a light ranch and son of a bitch. Said earlier today that he doesn't think I can scrap. Eric Romoff. Eric, how's it going? Why are we taking shots early and often at me this week, man? What's going on?
Look, man, we're doing good. The vibes are high, and that's a big part of the reason why I'm suspect of your ability to throw hands. You're too much of a chill guy, too much of a vibes guy, right? Like big pacifist energy. I'm sure if push came to shove, you were in, a life or death situation, you might throw a couple little jabs out there, but I think you're just one to keep it moving. I don't think you're one to confront people like that.
Definitely in my younger years, I was a little more scrappy. I'll say that. I don't think that I've gotten into a fight probably in the 2020s.
Aren't you like 19 minutes old right now? My younger years, like back in the day.
Back in high school, we like to mix it up a little bit, but you outgrow that phase a little bit, and you don't always like to be the shit talker. I used to be a big shit talker, and now it's like, hey, I'm gonna chill out on that, and you live and you learn. So, but don't you forget it, Eric. Still fifth best in District 9 PIAA state wrestling districts there. 2016, baby.
Those are some accolades. The vaunted District 9 5AA. Yep.
They are the Globo
whatever wrestling division.
Finished just one match above 500, baby. Winning season. That's all we do.
There you go.
We're bored.
Crazy.
We're bored.
Speaking of shit talkers, we got one of the biggest on the internet here joining with us as well. Our entertainment and NFL betting mark here at IBT, Boston's boy Steve Lawson. Steve, what's going on tonight, man?
Not much, man. Yeah, I mean, the shit talking, it's kind of like these hands. They're rated E for everybody. Like I I don't set out to shit talk, but sometimes it's just so easy. We're gonna find that out very, very soon on this show. I am very, very excited about that. I did not expect the conversation that happened before the show to happen today, though. With the scrapping, I do have to agree with Eric, though. Seth, you got a good boy attitude, you just got like a good boy face. Like I don't know. You know why you probably did well in fights? Honestly, I'd feel bad about hitting you. Like you just look too nice. Like I think that's just an unfair advantage.
You
don't
right. want to hit a guy with glasses, right? Isn't that the adage?
Hit a guy with glasses.
I've taken some cheap shots too. I've taken some cheap shots, brother. So no,
like, you just got a nice, like I don't know. You have a very friendly face, and that's just like no one wants to fight the nice guy.
Well, I appreciate that, and appreciate all the nice things you guys had to say about me, but definitely don't deserve that, but don't even deserve you guys being here with me tonight, but I'm excited for it. We're going to get into some scrapping here with Between Bets, our NFL futures betting market, early picks. I've got some absolute gainers I can't wait to give out to y'all. Also, we'll round out the show with some good news, but first, I did want to welcome in the IBT family. Thank you guys so much for riding with us tonight. Looks like we got our guy Ben riding shotgun as always.
Man.
What's up, Ben? Good to see you, buddy. Hope everything's going good out there in Nevada. Also, while you're here, please, if you enjoy this type of content, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new as well, and be sure to check out the website for some fantastic written content, inbetweenmedia.com. While you're there, please get yourself a ticket to Draft Night Out. That's our live fantasy football draft at the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio this August. If you want to come draft with us, 200 of our closest friends, this is the event for you. We got beers. We got shot wheel spinning. We got giveaways going on. We got everything in between. So make sure you guys are checking that out. Link is in the episode description. Eric, you get your plane ticket yet? I know you're always one to kind of dilly-dally on that, but has the early bird caught the worm yet?
No, I am absolutely living up to my dilly-dally reputation. I got plane tickets to the Poconos. I got to square away. I got plane tickets to Philadelphia. We be out here flying on these rickety ass planes. So
where
I
are the
will
Poconos?
1000% be at the expo and be at DNO. But that purchase is a few items down the list for me.
You don't know where the Poconos are, Steve?
Nah.
They're not far from New York. A lot of people from New York City go to them, but almost like Eastern Pennsylvania, but northeastern Pennsylvania is kind of the best way to fit.
Up here in civilization, we basically ignore the rest of you.
Easy. Take it easy on the Keystone State there, brother. All right. Let's go ahead though, guys, and let's move forward in the show. Let's jump right into things with a little between bets.
Between bets. Between bets.
All right, between bets, we're looking at the early NFL futures betting market. We're going to start with Super Bowl winners. Boys, really ugly juice board, and at this point, I think we're all kind of in the same mindset that, look,
we're not. I can assure you we're not.
Well, we're all in the mindset that none of us are laying anything down on these favorites, right? Like it's just too short. You got Philly plus 650, you got Baltimore 7-1, Kansas City plus 750, Buffalo all the way down to 8-1. Detroit's at 9-1. I remember getting them last year. I remember having a conversation with you guys like week 1, week 2, 11-1, 12-1. Feels really nuked down right now. So I am the only one out of all the bets we're throwing out tonight who did put a Super Bowl bet out there. So let's go ahead and get that ready and just kind of address the elephant in the room. How about it?
Tense.
Yeah, I have already bet this. I have bet the Tennessee Titans to go the distance at 200-1. And look, do I believe the Tennessee Titans can win the Super Bowl? No. However,
hell of a way to place your bet.
I'm in it for the cash out, brother. Listen, Tennessee, Cleveland, the Giants, they are all the only teams 200-1 or longer to go win a ship. The one thing that Tennessee has that the others don't, likely coming soon, is a day one starting quarterback in Cam Ward. These odds will move and probably likely as soon as after the NFL draft when Ward is the pick. So who knows what else the Titans could do during that draft as well. Maybe they add a dynamic pass catcher. Maybe they continue to beef up the offensive line, go out, get another pass rusher. This reminds me of a situation a lot like a year ago. I bet you could get the Commanders probably close to 201 this time last year, where there are some decent pieces on this team overall, a good play caller, a last place schedule they're going to be facing, and they're also playing in the worst division. We can't forget that. They're going to play the Jaguars. They're going to play the Colts. They're going to play the Texans. Like, none of those teams other than the Texans really scare me. Non-divisional road games this season include Browns, Cardinals, Raiders. I like their chances against, honestly, like that's a 50-50 pick 'em with those guys. Same with the Saints. Same with the Patriots at home. So I think there's a chance we're looking up mid-season. The Titans have a shot at the 7th wild card spot. And if that's the case, you're getting a hefty cash out. You could easily be tripling, quadrupling, maybe getting bigger. I mean, you put $1 on this, it's $200 payouts. The books are going to get you out if we see a similar arc to this Titans team like we saw with Washington last season. That is the play here, Eric.
That is a play. I certainly see that you're setting this up for a cash out.
The
First
wheels are
off,
turning.
the audacity to put Tony Pollard on this banner is a different mark altogether. I guess
He's my favorite Titans player that I could find a headshot in the jersey. There was no Mason Rudolph anymore, so
that kind of tells you all you need to know about the Titans.
Well, there's no one really knew Justin Simmons. There's some studs on the defensive side.
But there's a lot of holes to poke in this decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like 200-1 is already baking in Cam Ward going to the Tennessee Titans. That has been a presumed first overall pick for weeks, if not months now, right? So I don't know if you're going to get any lift when they make it official and call
they're down
his name
to plus
out.
one. They're down 180 to 171 other places already.
Well, yeah. I mean, early in these future markets, there's definitely going to be variance book to book. But the biggest issue that I have with this more than anything is if your eventual payoff is a 3 or 4 to 1 cash out, 3/4 of the way through the season, that's just not enough juice for me to tie up my money for that amount of time.
It could be more. It could be more.
We're bemoaning it won't be. The Titans, I believe, are actually one of the top 2 or 3 favorites to have the first overall pick again next year because they have a lot of holes in their roster. But even if everything breaks perfectly and you get your 3 or 4x, this is also in the same breath where we're bemoaning taking a 6-1, a 7.5-1 Super Bowl favorite because those odds aren't long enough to tie up your money for that long. So
but you can.
You're essentially doing the same thing for half.
But I'm putting 0.2 of a unit though. Like that's the thing. If I'm betting one of those heavy favorites, I'm gonna be betting a unit. I'm gonna be betting close to a unit. Like this is just tying a little fun, little 0.2 of a unit. Nothing crazy. Not even a quarter unit. We're floating out here. So that it's just a long shot speculative play that I feel good about getting cashed out later in the season.
It is. I feel like I have beaten this up from the betting strategy angle. Steve, I'm sure you have plenty to say on the merit of the choice itself from a football perspective.
Yeah, there's so much to say because there's so little to say about the Tennessee Titans, right? Like we had to stick Tony Pollard on the graphic. Like it's not even enough that like who is all right. So
you would have said the same thing about Washington though last year, other than Terry McLaurin is like an upgrade over Tony Pollard, right?
You wouldn't know. No, because they had talent. Like on the
Ryan
offense,
Robinson is an upgrade over Tony Pollard.
No, he's not.
There were 4 guys, at least on the Commanders last year, before Jayden Daniels got there. Who, by the way, Jayden Daniels is a significantly better prospect than Cam Ward is as well. Like,
yeah, sure, I'll give you
the
that.
Titans. This is. I get where you're coming from. I hear you. I think you would have been better off going to a city, finding a homeless person, and handing them the money instead. Because this just really feels like you might as well have set it on fire. Like, I just don't understand.
Hey, that's okay. I know it's understandable.
I will tell you this. If you are right about this, I am so sure you're wrong. I will get it tattooed on me that you were right about this.
Wait, what are we saying? Well, I'm not saying the Titans are going to win the Super Bowl. I know they won't. I'm more. Are you saying if I get a cash out, you'll get a tattoo?
I'm talking like if they're even in the contention for the wild card, I'll like get some stupid pet tattoo.
If they make the wild card.
You said you could see you in the mix for that last wild card.
Okay,
I will let you pick my next tattoo, and I will display it on the podcast.
Yeah, Tony Pollard tramp stamp coming in.
It's gonna be Jayden Blue's face because I know Steve loves Jayden Blue's face.
Yeah, so I'm ready. Like I'll do it. That's
all right,
how sure I am. This isn't happening.
All right. Well, I appreciate the honesty, guys. Sometimes you gotta zig when others are zagging, and that I'm not afraid to do that out here. We also skipped the conference odds. It's also very similar, very heavily juiced stuff. But going over to the division winners, we do have a lot of division winner bets. Some of the more minus money ones that we're not going to be touching. Minus 210 for Buffalo to win the AFC East. Philly minus 125 to continue their run. Baltimore to take the AFC North minus 115. KC to win their division at minus 110. So a lot of juice out there. But Eric, I know you found some value still in that juice.
Yeah, I've got a couple of bets that I want to speculate on in this market. One is just a flat out misprice. I will start with my homer Houston Texans. As you were running down that list of clear division favorites,
Yeah.
Buffalo's minus 210, Baltimore's minus 115, Kansas City's minus 110. I mean, these are all teams that arguably have more competition than the Texans do for their own division crown, yet the Texans can be found for plus money out there at plus 140. So this kind of breaks one of my rules. Generally, I'm not trying to tie up a bunch of bankroll in a bet that doesn't have that much juice to it. But when you see a division like the AFC South, which currently has the 9th, 7th, and second longest odds to win the Super Bowl as the teams that are competing with the Texans, clearly they should be a negative money favorite, minus 115, minus 20 at minimum. So anytime that there is a misprice like that, I'm always going to jump on it. Not to mention that I'm fully bought in on the Texans actually making a rebound from last year, where they won this division for the 6th time in 9 years. I'm pretty happy with how we've approached the offseason.
You like trading away Laramie Tunsil? I don't know if I
do like trading away Laramie Tunsil. The dude was the most penalized player in the NFL. We got a haul of picks, and for everyone that wants to bemoan how terrible the offensive line was, all of a sudden people certainly feel a certain kind of way about them shipping off those terrible players. So there's nowhere to go but up. You get a ton of draft capital.
The Bobby Slowick firing as well.
I do, specifically because they brought in Nick Caley, and Nick Caley looked at the tape and said, what worked for CJ Stroud in year number 1? It was a heavy fullback rotation. They go out and sign Jacob Johnson. This might be the only airways in the entire world that are going to talk about a fullback free agent signing. But it was a system that worked for CJ Stroud. It gets him extra protection. It gives him a release valve in the flat, and it allows more time for players like Nico Collins to develop plays downfield. So, I mean, even if they remain exactly the same as they were last year, they are going to be a significant favorite to win this division. And I like them taking a bit of a step forward.
Yeah, plus 140 is not a bad number. You definitely gonna have to lay a couple units on it, I feel like, to really, get worth your money. But if that's your shot there, I don't hate it. Steve, let's move down the board here a little bit. Listen, you gave me you gave me some shit, for taking a flyer on the Titans. You're doing something similar. You're going with the Jets to win the AFC East for the first time since the mid 2000s. What has you so confident on my former New York Frisky Jets?
The addition of Justin Fields. I know that's crazy. I know that's a hot take, like with Justin Fields being kind of bemoaned around the league, but this is a team that has people forget how good the defense actually is in New York when someone is actually like competently coaching them. This team has talent at every position. Where they were really struggling was under center, and then just kind of in improvisation, to be honest with you. When a play broke down, there was nothing really they could do. Devontae Adams is no longer in town. It's back to the Garrett Wilson show. I expect they'll add something exciting in this draft, whether it's your guy Tyler Warren, Seth, or potentially another big play receiver like Matthew Golden. I wouldn't be shocked if they go either way on that. They do have a great secondary and amazing defensive line. Jermaine Johnson will be back healthy this year, thankfully, so he'll be back. That linebacking core is okay. It's not great, but it's certainly passable. And then offensively, it's still Breece Hall, it's Garrett Wilson, and now you're adding Justin Fields. That read option is going to open up lanes for Breece Hall. And honestly, you look at the AFC East, and the Dolphins don't look dominant.
I'm not scared.
I'm not
of the Dolphins.
sold on the Dolphins being great. The Patriots are nowhere near ready to compete right now. It's the Bills or the Jets in my mind right now. Like, I guess the Dolphins could make a run if they like really pull all this shit together, but it just kind of looks messy in Miami right now. It's kind of like, is Tyreek in? Is he out? Does he want to be there? Does he not want to be there? Who wants to be there? Is Tua healthy? Is he going to stay healthy? That's a lot of question marks. Justin Fields, I think, still to this day is one of the top 20 quarterbacks in the NFL. What he brings with his legs is almost unmatched. He's a better thrower than we're used to. And now he's paired up with his number one receiver from college.
Yeah.
So I don't hate the idea of the Jets being way better than people expect. And at 15-1, that's pretty good odds for them to pull this conference off, right? All it takes
Yeah.
is one thing to go wrong for the Bills, and here we are.
Yeah, I didn't like this bet on paper just because it's so hard to go against the Bills, and even the books are saying it with them being the heaviest favorite to win a division across the league. So at that standpoint, I'm kind of against it, but at the same point, I totally understand where you're coming from with a 15-1 number. There aren't many teams with longer odds to win their division. Like even my Titans that we were just discussing, they're 8-1 to win the South. Like that's kind of how the books feel about that division. Patriots 12-1 to win this AFC East division as well. So yeah, I don't hate the number, Eric. It's kind of hard to hate on that number.
Yeah, I mean the price is absolutely right, and for what feels like forever, at least in recent memory, we've been bemoaning how the Jets are just competent quarterback play away. We even saw it down the stretch run when Aaron Rodgers kind of got his feet back underneath him a little bit. All of a sudden, these Jets were kind of frisky again, right? So, you know, if a couple of close games bounce their way, you know, maybe if they get some injury luck working against them or against their opponents, like there are several outs that at least put this in the range of outcomes to where 15-1 is the right price to drop a ticket.
I think how I would probably play this too, potentially, like if you're really trying to profit from it somewhat, is you take a little bit of a flyer, just maybe a quarter unit nibble on the Jets, and then you wait until like right before the season. Do you guys ever see that like FanDuel and DraftKings will throw out those like 50% boost on the NFL futures market, like last chance, come and get them? Try to maybe get the Bills closer to even money rather than like the minus 210 they're at. Maybe get them down to like minus 155, slap like 4 units on. It's like, as long as the Bills and the Jets come out, maybe you would be okay. But I don't mind, pigeonholing yourself into one division. Eric, switching to another division, you're very high on a team specifically in the NFC West. What are you seeing out there in Arizona?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say very high, but to a point where I think that 6.5-1 is a reasonable proposition. There's a lot of variance in the different markets out there with regard to this wager. There's some places that have the Cardinals as low as plus 400, right? But more than anything else, I think we need to take a close look at the NFC West as a division in flux, right? We've seen San Francisco ship off just about every single piece of talent that they have on their roster over the course of the offseason. Yeah, obviously, Seattle looks entirely different from the team that was out there last year. And while there was a lot to like about the progression from the defensive side of the ball in terms of rookies for the Rams, they're no juggernaut themselves, right? And you look at this Cardinals team, I mean, they were still on the graphic for the division leading into week 16, week 17 last year. And they went out and made some splashy plays in free agency, not the least of which is bringing in Josh Sweat from the Eagles to reunite with Jonathan Gannon. So the defense gets a little bit more stout. I do think we see Marvin Harrison Jr. take a bit of a step forward from his rookie campaign. And if nothing else, I think it's defendable to say that the Cardinals are going to be in the mix for this division down to the latter part of the season. So to get them at 6.5-1 is exactly the type of future that I want to speculate in.
This is another one. When I saw this come up in the show sheet over the last couple of days, I was kind of scratching my head about it, but I think your logic is perfectly in line, Eric. And like, this is what we're doing at this point. Like, we're not going to be betting heavy favorites really at this point because it's just really hard to find value in this. Like, we're looking for lines today that are not going to be here, maybe whether it's after the draft or whether it's by the time we get to August, whatever that is. We're trying to find early line value more than anything here. So I think the Cardinals do represent that in the NFC West. Like you said, Eric, a lot of flux going on over there. I will round out the division winner bets with a team I'm extremely high on. This is my favorite bet for the early odds. I went 1.5 units on it. Vikings to win the NFC North plus 550. Only 8 teams have longer odds than the Vikings to win their division. That makes no sense, guys. That makes no sense. That shows clear value on Minnesota. This is a team that was just 14-2, a game away from being the number 1 seed in the NFC, winning the division. And like, they're still all the fuck in. Like, don't kid yourself about it. re-signed Aaron Jones, brought in Ryan Kelly, Will Fry, shore up that offensive line a little bit if those former Colts have anything left in him. Added Jonathan Allen after the Commanders waived him. Jonathan Hardgrave as well on that defensive line. And if they add some like secondary help, like their secondary, it was kind of already dog shit. They lost Bynum and a couple other guys back there, but they still have Byron Murphy. So if they can get some competent secondary play in the draft, like I think this is the most complete team in the league, or arguably close to it, probably outside of Philadelphia. So led by 2024 Coach of the Year, who has a 34-17 record, Kevin O'Connell. I really like the Vikings, and like I think the only question you have to have as a bettor with this is, what is JJ McCarthy going to be? All signs are pointing to this kid taking over under center for the Vikes this year. And I've always thought he was a stud. Watched a lot of Big Ten ball, watched a lot of Michigan in his time there. And like, I think he would easily be the quarterback one in this class by a country mile. Also kind of that like game manager that I think he's not going to choke games away. I think he's going to get the win. Might not have a lot of comebacks from behind or fourth quarter comebacks, but I think at the end of the day, at plus 550, this is very much a fade against the other teams in the division as well. Kind of like you said, Eric. Lions have a lot of question marks. Lost OC Ben Johnson. DC, Aaron Glenn, also out the door there. Packers, tons of holes in their secondary. They're trying to trade Alexander. Can't even get out of his deal. Like it feels like they're stuck there. It feels like they're stuck at wide receiver. Haven't made any splashes there. Went 1-5. The Packers did against the NFC North. Got swept by the Lions. Got swept by the Vikes. And then also lost one of the Bears. And then like I like the Bears. I think we all kind of think the Bears could be someone maybe sneaky to get invested with from a future perspective. But at the same time, like they got to get their feet under them a little bit. So yeah, give me the Vikings here to win the NFC North plus 550, Steve.
Yeah, I mean it's not a bad bet, right? I
plus
think
550, that's a great number.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing is they're not sure about JJ McCarthy, just like I'm not sure about JJ McCarthy.
Yeah,
right. I am very, very concerned about him, just in general, even if he was 100% healthy, right? But he's not. So
I heard the knee is not a concern.
We'll see.
That's what we're hearing out of that camp. Yeah.
But one thing that the Vikings do have is they may have the best coordinator in the NFL right now, and that's on the defensive side of the ball. I think Brian Flores is probably the best defensive coordinator in the NFL right now, and I think that's really going to help them out. They did make a ton of moves, a ton of moves. It's all going to come down to JJ McCarthy. That's a lot to put on a rookie. I don't know if 14-2 is a realistic outcome, but then again, 15-1 probably isn't realistic for the Lions either. They lost both their coordinators.
Yeah.
They still have Aiden Hutchinson that needs to come back from that injury. There's a lot going on in this division.
I think 12 wins could take it maybe this year.
I think 12 wins could take it this year. I just don't know if I'm thrilled with the Vikings being the ones that I put the money on. But at 5.5 to 1, I do like this bet a lot, actually. And you know what? It's all JJ McCarthy. But if that defense, if they could like grab one more cornerback, like maybe in the draft, or maybe Jair Alexander, maybe the Packers are just desperate enough to get rid of him that they bring him in.
No, you can't. I don't think anyone wants that contract, dude. That is like, it's 30. Isn't it like 30 plus million a year, Eric? Like that's a bad contract, bro.
Yeah, but we're also at the stage of the game with Alexander where I don't think wherever he lands, if he gets moved, that the team that's taking him on is gonna absorb all of that contract, right?
Yeah.
And look, if nothing else, there are two things that I love about this bet. The first is just the flat out value. Like the NFC North is going to be a rock fight.
Yeah,
I think it's absurd that any of these teams are more than like 2.5 to 3.5 to 1, right? Like plus 550 in this division that is completely wide open.
Lions plus 140. That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, all four of these teams should be jumbled very close together. So, I mean, it almost sounds like some of the kind of lazy draft strategy that we put out there, where it's like when you have 2 or 3 guys that are comparable, which one do you draft? The cheapest one. And that's exactly what you're doing here with the Minnesota Vikings, who on merit, I think can be very competitive this year, right? They were essentially one game away from doing this last year with Sam Darnold under center, still seeing ghosts. And Steve talked about Brian Flores, one of the better, if not the best defensive coordinators in all of the league. I will continue to stand for Kevin O'Connell, right? A guy that has gotten it done with Sam Darnold, with Kirk Cousins, with Josh Dobbs for a little while, right? Like the bar in terms of level of quarterback play that he needs to be successful is about league average. And I feel pretty good about JJ McCarthy being league average. So we talk about this bet to win the division at 5.5 to 1. I mean, I would just as soon go over to Kevin O'Connell plus 5,000.
That's a crazy number.
To repeat the current coach of the year to win again. And generally speaking, we see, if you peruse through these odds, the quote unquote favorite teams, their coaches don't have very good odds. They are some of the longest odds out there, because usually it has to be some scrappy story where some team that nobody thought would do anything, like the Titans, all of a sudden is in the mix for the wild card, right? Baby. But with Kevin O'Connell, with there being so much turnover at the quarterback position, if he does it again in what will be arguably the most competitive division in all of the NFL, this time with essentially a rookie quarterback coming off of a major knee injury, he'll absolutely be in the mix for that coach of the year repeat. So, I'm in lockstep with you, Seth, but I'm actually looking for longer odds. I think if they win the division, he's very much so going to be in the coach of the year conversation, and plus 5,000 is exactly the type of juice that I want to tie my money up for.
This is a fucking gainer, man. And like, I was not even considering coach of the year because I was over on the bettingpros.com website, and I was looking at player futures, right? Like there's not a tab for coaches. So I totally missed out on this market. So I think this is one of the sneakiest bets we're going to talk about tonight. So Eric, good on you for this one, brother. Really, really appreciate that. And with that, let's kind of segue over to that MVP, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year market. There also are some early offensive rookie of the year markets available at some books. I only have access to offensive, or I would absolutely be hammering. As soon as you guys get it, like I was seeing Abdul Carter out there in a couple books, like posted on Betting Pros for like 4.5 to 1. I couldn't find anything live in my state, but maybe if you can, I would absolutely hammer that. But in the MVP odds, let's look at the favorites again. It's Lamar Jackson of the Ravens. We got Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills, Joe Burrow of Cincinnati Bengals, 8 to 1 for Burrow, plus 650 for Josh Allen. Lamar coming in at plus 550, Mahomes plus 850, Jayden Daniels 11 to 1. And then we kind of jump back into that 20 to 1 range with Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, sorry. And so I'm going to turn it over to you, Steve. Who is someone you're looking at for an MVP bet early in the year?
Yeah, I am unusually going with a somewhat favorite. I think Jayden Daniels is probably my safest bet to win MVP this year. Like, the fact that it's this much plus money is great in my opinion, because I think voter fatigue is a real thing at this point. And I think we're starting to see that. Jalen Hurts will never put up the throwing stats that he needs to as a quarterback to pull this off. And that team was so good last year that it's obvious he's just not going to get those kind of votes. Josh Allen just won it, so he'd have to do something almost historic to repeat. Lamar Jackson would have to do something, again, historic, I think, to snag another MVP. If Jayden Daniels improves upon his rookie year, if he builds and doesn't have a sophomore slump, Jayden Daniels is almost certainly a lock for the MVP, because one thing I know, not that I know, but I suspect a lot when it comes to the voters, is they're always looking to crown the next face, the next guy, the next marketing.
They want something fresh. They want something fresh.
They want something to build around. They want the new poster boy. Mahomes has won it. Jackson's won it. Allen's won it. But if they can get Jayden Daniels reasonably in that conversation, I bet he wins it. Even if it's kind of controversial, we just saw it happen. There was no reason Lamar Jackson should have lost the MVP vote this year, and he did, because they need a new face. You cannot keep repeating. Jayden Daniels is in a huge market on a team that is desperate to get some good publicity out there now, right? They're adding some weapons. They're improving the team. This team looks like if they can go and put up 11, 12 wins, lock it down. And Jayden Daniels is so good. So good. We didn't get to see a full healthy season last year. He was hurt for like half of it. I expect him to kind of run away this year with the MVP, honestly.
I'm really interested at this 11-1 number. This is one I was actually considering for myself as well, Steve. So I think you have a good eye on it. I figured if I didn't put it down and didn't get down on myself with it, you probably would go this route. And it makes total sense, right? You add Debo, you add Laramie Tunsil, who, if he can stay away from flags, still, in my opinion, a good offensive tackle to have there protecting your blind side. So I like the call a lot. I was hoping maybe this was one I could find a boost for later in the offseason as well, that I'm kind of going to be keeping my head on a swivel. So I like Jayden Daniels there, but there is a little bit of a road map clog in the way there, if you would. And Eric, I think you kind of touch on him with your MVP pick for the early odds.
Yeah, I was definitely taking a long, hard look at this wager in particular. That 11-1 price tag is appealing, right? On merit, Jayden Daniels should be closer to like 5.5 to 6.5 to 1, right? So absolutely value there. I'm actually deciding to go a different direction with my MVP selection. I'm actually heading over to Joe Burrow, who I had down as 750 plus 750, 7.5 to 1. But shout out to the goats, to the kings over at Betting Pros. They found me a better price tag. It looks like he is available out there at plus 800. So definitely make sure that you are shopping around on your lines. Really, I would almost rather wager on Jayden Daniels, but the flaw in the system is exactly why I'll be placing this card in on Joe Burrow. The voters have made it abundantly clear they're going to walk down narrative street on their decision making. Steve's point, there was absolutely no reason why Lamar Jackson should not have won the MVP again last year, but it was
glad he didn't, though. Glad he didn't.
It was time for Josh Allen. It was his turn.
Yeah.
The poor downtrodden Bills who get an NFL rule change rolled out every time that they lose a playoff game, they need something, right? And I think while Jayden Daniels is going to earn his way into that conversation, I think the voters are going to look at Joe Burrow, who was fourth in MVP voting last year and is likely walking into another season where he's the odds-on favorite to lead the league in passing yards. He's the odds-on favorite to lead the league in passing touchdowns again. He had 4,900 yards last year. If he gets up over 5,000, if he's flirting with 50 passing touchdowns, I think the voters are going to start spinning a narrative that it's his turn, right? He got to a Super Bowl. He didn't win it.
Well, at that
this
point, if he's throwing 50
never
touchdowns,
him.
he should win it at that point.
He'll probably win it on merit, right? But even if he's close, I think the voters are going to look at Jayden Daniels and say, young kid doing a lot of stuff, his day will come. It's Joe Burrow's turn. And in turn, 8 to 1 on my money feels like a pretty good price tag to get in there. But both of these are ones that I would be interested in dabbling in.
I think if you're going to be placing an MVP vote right now, it needs to be Joe Burrow or Jayden Daniels. Like not trying to be biased towards you guys, but it makes the most sense. I can't see myself laying the steep price tags, a plus 550 with Lamar, trying to go back-to-back with Josh Allen. I think you guys are dead on and really, really like those picks. Let's go ahead and move to the Offensive Player of the Year market as well. And I'm going to turn it back over to Steve. You're staying with the Bengals here. What are you liking over there?
Yeah, this kind of goes, if Eric's prediction comes true, I think my prediction comes true. I think we both make money on this. Jamar Chase, Offensive Player of the Year. We saw when T. Higgins was there what Jamar Chase was capable of, right? He was a triple crown winner. He led in receptions, yards, touchdowns. I fully expect him to build upon those numbers. I actually wouldn't be surprised, and I know this is going to sound insane, but with today's NFL being the way it is, and Jamar Chase kind of being the guy he is, and he just got that huge extension, and Joe Burrow is chasing an MVP, would it be out of the realm of possibility for Jamar Chase to break the all-time single season yards record for receiving?
It's tough for me with, and maybe it shouldn't be because
if Joe Burrow throws 50 touchdowns, is it unreasonable to think that Jamar Chase breaks Randy Moss's touchdown record that he set with Tom Brady?
I was on this same path, Steve. I was on the same path a couple weeks ago, and I thought, like, this is like, I was actually looking at Jamar Chase 150 to 1 for MVP just to maybe take a little cash out down the road. And then the T. Higgins signing happens. And, like, I guess it's good for each other because you draw coverage off of each other and, like, you can work better with one another. Is that kind of what you're thinking here? You're like, you're not scared?
It actually is proven in the splits that I believe Jamar Chase performs better when T. Higgins plays.
Okay. Eric, any thoughts on Jamar Chase here at 10 to 1?
I think this is totally in range, right? And you mentioned that you were thinking about looking him up in the MVP market. The MVP market is and will always be a quarterback award, right? But the offensive player of the year is where they start looking at some of the skill positions, and we're
I almost say that is the
Chase.
skill position award now. They kind of like almost like.
Yeah, 100%. And Jamar Chase is coming off the season where he led the NFL in receiving yards by a lot. He had 1,700. The next closest was Amon-Ra St. Brown at 1,263, right? So he, with T. Higgins out there, T. Higgins is actually kind of on a 1-year deal yet again. So, I'm not really worried about, any deviation from what we've seen about these two players' ability to perform when
that was a 1-year deal for T. Higgins.
It's essentially $20 million this year, and he's got a $10 million guarantee for injury next year, and then he's kind of off the hook. At least he can be off the books for the Bengals. So they did some contract magic, which they had to do to afford both these guys. But nevertheless, I digress. T. Higgins was out there for the vast majority of the season last year, where Jamar Chase had almost 500 more receiving yards than anybody else in the league, right? So I think what we're seeing as we, bring up different iterations of this same bet is we all believe that the Bengals offense is going to be one of the most high velocity.
Got to get off to a hot start.
Of the NFL.
Hot start. We need a hot start, man. It's always the start of the season that fucks them.
They also have to be a hot offense. That's the other thing is we didn't mention they don't have a fucking defensive player on that entire roster. No. There is nobody playing defense. They're going to have to win games 75-72.
Well, you had Sam Hubbard just retire, I believe, as well. So, like, they've been losing a lot of pieces on this defense for years. They just lost one of their captains there in Hubbard as well. And Trey Hendrick's still unsigned. So we'll kind of see what happens with that, whether they trade him or but regardless, I think definitely like pass. I know I was mocking it all off season that a pass rusher should go to the Bengals. I had Jack Sawyer there initially. Preview of mock draft 2.0 I've been teasing for weeks. I'm not finished, but Mike Green is probably going to be the pick there, I think, for me. So they'll definitely add some pieces. But you're dead on, Steve. Absolutely dog shit defense. They fired their defensive coordinator as well. Ben in the chat saying if Chase goes triple crown back to back, he should definitely get it. Agreed with you there. Also saying Tony Pollard looks happy that someone is giving the Titans a look at 200 to 1. That's a good call. Tony Pollard is probably happy. How does a happy Tony Pollard? Look at him.
That was before he actually had to play for the Titans.
Dude, Nashville, that'd be a good place to live, though. At least be a good place to live. I got one more offensive player of the year candidate that I'm going to throw out here, and it's 50 to 1 for Malik Nabers. I love this bet. It's at FanDuel as well, which you guys know is my favorite place to place futures because they hedge so aggressively against themselves that they are offering cash outs all the time. And this is 30 to 1 at most other books. So I think there's a ton of value here. Finding 50 to 1 only at FanDuel. I initially placed this after the Jameis signing because I kind of figured that was backup money, but at the same time, I was like, giddy up. Like, regardless if Jameis becomes the quarterback, it means good things for Malik Nabers. And I don't hate Russell Wilson signing with the team earlier today either. I'm still on board with that. And he's had good success, Russ, over his career with number ones, whether it's Doug Baldwin back in the day, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett when he had the brief stunt as the number one in Seattle as well. Him and Cortland Sutton, that second year in Denver, had a pretty good connection as well. And like him and GP kind of all over the place, but that's kind of just GP, not showing up for games and shit. Offense, though, like already pretty much in place other than upgrading that offensive line, I think based on the money that they gave Darius Slayton, like he's probably going to play that flanker still, probably Wandale in the slot unless they go after someone on day 2 or day 3. Theo Johnson back at tight end. He showed a lot of promise. And like, we already know what Malik Nabers did last year. Like, this guy is absolutely nasty. 170 targets, 109 receptions, 1,200 yards, and a boatload of touchdowns as well. And like, that was playing with Daniel Jones and Tommy DeVito, plus little Drew Lock at the end of the season. Whether it's Russ, whether it's Jameis Winston throwing the ball, or whether it's fucking Shedeur Sanders, those are all huge upgrades, guys. Like, more than anything, this is a value play on Malik Nabers. 30-1, as I said, most other books. I'm getting it 50-1 at FanDuel. Steve, I know you're a big Malik Nabers guy. You have to at least like this bet, right?
I liked it a lot more before Russell Wilson signed there. I'll tell you that much. I liked it a lot more before Russ signed there.
That felt inevitable. That felt like Thanos. You know what I mean?
I was shocked that he did. I thought, if nothing else, the Giants would just look and go, you know what? This isn't the year to have a quarterback. We'll just go out there, do what we do, and blah, blah, blah. Right? Like, maybe draft a rookie or something.
Guys
but
playing for hey, maybe they still do, though. There's still a great chance they
could.
do.
But Russell Wilson, one thing he doesn't do is he doesn't force the ball to guys. He's not a big force feeder of his receivers. And that's what you kind of need. And that's what Malik Nabers is going to need a little bit, because
I think he will when he plays with Nabers.
There's no other weapon that's going to scare defenses enough for him not to be double covered all the time. And Russ is playing to try to prove that he still got it to some degree, and we know he doesn't. We watched him in Pittsburgh last year. Like, yes, he used to be good. He's no longer good. The arm isn't what it used to be. It's just kind of, I think it's going to be kind of boring. I think Malik Nabers is actually, I had him as like the wide receiver one with Jameis. Now it's probably closer to that 10 range right now.
Okay. Eric, any more disapproval from you on this bet, or do you actually like a value play on Nabers?
Yeah, specifically framed that way. I think that this is a nice value, right? We want to look at last year as prologue. Malik Nabers' 170 targets was the second most in the NFL, and
behind
they haven't
Chase,
really
right?
done
Only Chase, I think,
behind Chase. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I believe it was by 175 for Chase. So, they haven't really done anything that would lead you to believe that their target distribution is going to be much different. While Russell Wilson is certainly has his better days behind him, he's still got the heater, right? He's got the moon
ball, baby. Yeah,
that he will continue to.
And we didn't see a lot of that from Nabers either. The deep ball last year, he was more possession guy.
A lot of Nabers' productivity was yards after the catch, right? So if Russell Wilson's arm has kind of cooled off a little bit, we can still trust him to get the ball into a winning position for Malik Nabers where he can create some yak, and then every now and again he'll have that moon ball upside, right? So I don't think that Malik Nabers should be a favorite to win this award necessarily. Yeah, but he's got the talent to where he can be in this conversation, and he certainly shouldn't be plus 5,000, right? I think he should be a little bit closer to like the top like 5 or 7 in odds. So that value in and of itself, specifically at FanDuel, who gets a little bit itchy trying to let some of their longest shots off the hook with buyouts, is exactly what you're looking for.
Absolutely. We were looking in the season-long player props market as well, but nothing fit our fancy as of now. Eric, you have quote in there, never ever placing a bet like this. I do like season-long player props, but I'm not betting them until the very last second, right? Like, I'm trying to get these right before the season, try to roll out any, free agency landings, right before camp, or injuries leading up to camp or in camp. So, like, I will have probably more of these for y'all right before the season, but for now we're going to lay off that market. But Eric, you have two specials to round us out. Give us your moonshot first, and then bring us back down to reality a little bit.
Yeah, so my moonshot is actually sounding less and less like a moonshot as we have done nothing but discuss the Bengals tonight. And that is for the Cincinnati Bengals to have at least one passing touchdown in every regular season game, a feat that they accomplished last year. And that has a pretty nice price tag to it, plus 750. So, we've talked a lot about how much confidence we have in this offense. And Steve started to touch on the real point here, which is this defense, even if they go out and spend the majority of their draft capital on the defensive side of the ball, is going to have several holes in it, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're talking about what should be the highest scoring offense in all of the NFL as we head into 2025, and one that is clearly going to mount those scores off of the arm of Joe Burrow. So to be able to get a wager like this at 7.5 to 1 is super interesting. And then I'm going to go a little bit more of a carnival bet, is perusing around in these team specials over on DraftKings. They have a line where you can select a first-time Super Bowl winner in terms of franchise to get plus 170 odds on your wager. And again, a lot of this is just overarching strategy that plays into this. Usually when you see player versus the field type of wagers, the field is usually even money, if not negative money, right? So to be able to get a pile of teams at plus money is super interesting. And then you take a closer look at the teams themselves. They include franchises like the Bills, the Bengals, which we all apparently love, the Texans, the Lions, the Chargers, right? Several playoff teams from last year, several teams that are currently the odds-on favorite or near the odds-on favorite to win their division, right? So, we're talking specifically Bengals, Bills, Browns, Cardinals, Chargers, Falcons, Jaguars, Lions, Panthers, Texans, Titans, or Vikings. Any of that lot makes their way to hoist the Lombardi, and you're getting plus 170 on your money. So kind of an interesting angle to take to the futures market, but one that I liked a little bit more than I thought I would when I first took a glance at it.
Yeah, this is one that I think I would somehow make this a parlay with, maybe whether that's a NASCAR prop, or that's where my brain goes. Eric, you're in the college basketball mode, so you probably lay it down with a March Madness money line or something like that, and then maybe you're sending a 2.5 or a 3 to 1, or maybe you're taking a little bit of a gain and you're sending a 5 to 1. Because I wouldn't hate that. I think I need a 2 to 1 or better to lay this down, because I really do think the Eagles are going to be weapons next year. I do think the Chiefs are going to be right back at it. So to go against those two teams, yes. But if it's not one of those two teams, I think we have the most likely suspects on this list with the Bengals, Bills, and Lions alone. Then you factor in teams like the Chargers, Vikings, Texans, who we all also probably think are playoff teams. The only team I think that is very high up in the odds that we don't really get in this bet is the Rams and the Commanders. Those are two of the ones I know that would be right up there. So, Steve, any thoughts on Eric getting a little nifty here? Would you be willing to lay this? I don't want to say call it a short number, because it's not. It's almost 2 to 1. But would you be willing to lay this on a Super Bowl future?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's fine. I definitely don't. You both mentioned the Bengals as Super Bowl contenders. I certainly don't think they're that. I think they're an exciting offense. I think because their defense is so fucking abysmal that they're nowhere near Super Bowl contenders, they probably won't even make the playoffs. But I do like this bet a lot, actually, because there are some names in there that are absolutely powerhouses, including your Tennessee Titans, Seth. So that should really
way to get some Titans exposure.
Look at that. Maybe you're onto something here. Here's as the Titans single-handedly drag this to 2 to 1 odds, because they're yeah, right. But yeah, this is a good bet. I like it. I always like a big chunk. You know what I mean? Going off at 2 to 1. The Lions were right there. The Vikings were right there. There's a few teams. The Bills were right there. There's a few teams that could really make some noise and get this done.
You're not getting the top 3 favorites, Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City, but you get 4th and 5th in Buffalo, Detroit. You don't get Washington, San Fran, who are next, but then you get the Bengals right there. So, I don't hate this one, Eric. Guys, I really like all the bets you came with tonight. I think you did your homework. Hopefully people get invested with those future markets while we have them available pre-draft here, before we expect some massive line movement to happen post-NFL draft. Let's go ahead, though. Let's round out the program with a little bit of good news. All right, it's good news. These are our feel-good headlines of the week. I'm going to keep it in the football universe. Andrew Luck is back, and he's proven he's still a gamer. Everyone remembers suddenly retiring from the Colts in 2019 before turning 30, back in August, right during a preseason game. Andrew Luck, after that, seemingly disappeared from the public eye. I think we all remember where we were that day. I can certainly remember where I was. And then in late 2024, he accepts his position of general manager of the Stanford Cardinal football program. Earlier today, he announced on Twitter in a well-versed press release that he was firing head coach Troy Taylor after back-to-back seasons of 3-9 football and investigation into bullying allegations. I said it online earlier, guys. And I think that the fall of this program is absolutely unreal. I grew up in an era where I thought Stanford was always just going to be a powerhouse. You know what I mean? Like 12-1, 11-2 seasons, winning seasons pretty much from 2009 all the way into 2018, and then kind of fall off right before COVID. Never really bounced back. They've had a couple David Shaw in there before Troy Taylor, and just nothing really ever happened. Like we know we got Elikayo Manor out of there, so I'm happy about that. But at the same time, like I just don't have a lot of faith in this program. But if there is someone I trust to bring them back to national relevancy, it is Andrew Luck, this big brain son of a bitch. So great to have him back in the mix, and great to have him making some moves here, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly a step in the right direction to bring someone in that kind of led your program to prominence, right? Stanford's problem is kind of baffling because with NIL, Stanford makes money hand over fist. I mean, to go to that school is, it's basically like buying a house. So they have the money, they have the endowments.
Nice house.
Like they have the endowments. I'm shocked their recruiting isn't better, but that's what fell off, right? It wasn't so much like it wasn't just a coaching issue, it was a recruiting issue. When you look at the guys who came out, like Andrew Luck, Christian McCaffrey, Richard Sherman, this Hall of Famers or Hall of Fame caliber players that were coming out of Stanford regularly. And now it's like, hey, there's this prospect that could be good, could not be good, and then the rest is like a bunch of like nothing. And Andrew Luck knows what it took to win at Stanford. It's a good sell, right? You have Andrew Luck, number 1 pick in the draft, running the show over the top. So as the recruiting goes, starts at the quarterback position, get yourself a quarterback, build around that. I really like Andrew Luck going back to where he started essentially and building that program back.
Eric, what would the win total have to be on Stanford for you to take a bite of an apple here? Still not the best recruiting class coming in. It's going to take some time. They might lose some players in the portal after this news as well. Players have free range to leave. But at the same time, like I love watching Stanford, man, because like they're always playing at like some funky times, like Friday, Saturday nights, real fucking late when I'm up grinding, doing some work. So I always enjoy turning on the Cardinal. But at the same time, what do you think the win total would have to be? Like, you think it's 2.5? You think that's probably what it's going to be?
That sounds like a reasonable number to see out there, right? And while I'm generally with you that I think that Andrew Luck can get this program back in the right direction, I don't think we're talking about an overnight improvement here, right? Like Steve hit the nail on the head. In the NIL and transfer portal era of college athletics, these guys are absolutely are absolutely able to monetize and take full advantage of their skill set. And generally speaking, even if Stanford's putting a fair amount of money out there, they have comparable offers for teams that are competitive or at least aren't punchline. So I think their path is to bring in a head coach that is much more of a talent evaluator and developer. And just by that nature alone, it's going to take him a couple of years to really get the most out of his guys. So I think we're probably looking at like a longest odds in the conference type of team for at least a few more years.
Well, we're rooting for you, Andrew. We're rooting for them and Elijah Brown and company down the stretch this year, man. Bring it home, baby. We appreciate you. Steve, your good news headline of the week. It takes us to the entertainment world. What do you have?
Yeah, it's the show Adolescence being maybe the most important piece of media I have seen in the last 5 years, maybe decade even.
Oh, wow.
Normally I come on here and it's a much more lighthearted good news. But we do have a problem in the world today where our young men especially are being fed content constantly that is causing them to act out in ways that are harmful toward not only themselves, but toward other people, women especially, and embracing like violence and hate toward women. And this show is a really dark and grueling look at the ramifications of this culture that we've kind of set up in this
Mhm.
world now, that they're
Mhm.
being fed this red pill content. And honestly, for a showmaker and for a streaming service, like I usually don't get on here and glaze up Netflix by any means. But for them to take this risk and let this story be told in the way that it's
Yeah.
told, where you are just you are hammered for 4 episodes with just it's
Yeah.
misery, but it has to be, and it's so hard to watch, and you watch this kid, he's like this innocent looking, sweet 13-year-old kid, and you just wonder how on earth did it get to this point? And it's happening in our own homes, and I
Mhm.
think it's really, really, really important that a show like this exists, and I'm so, so happy that we are seeing media come out like
Yeah.
this to combat the overwhelming amount of negativity that is spread and fed to our young men these days.
Yeah, thank you for sharing this. I haven't heard of this show yet, but certainly put it on something to watch and on my list to peruse through. But yeah, dude, I mean, there's a lot of toxic media out there, man, and it's really hard to raise a kid these days. And so I think that it's important that we have media that can kind of show us this, right? That can kind of open this door and peek behind the curtain if things are good on your side of the fence. They're not always for everyone. So I think that's really important there. Eric, you kind of take us back to the real world with your feel good headline of the week. What do you have?
Yeah, I try my best to find good news that can touch several different topics, and I think I threaded the needle here. Just recently, the FDA approved a new non-opioid treatment for moderate to severe acute pain. I'm going to butcher this name. I believe it's pronounced Journavx. But the point being is that whether we're talking about the opioid crisis in our country
Mm,
and certain communities that have been completely ravished by it, or the very large and somewhat silenced community of former NFL players that opioid pain relief was the way that they got through games, if not the
yeah.
way they got through quarters of games. The fact that we're still developing and pouring money into research, into development of non-opioid options is absolutely needed. I think it's something that touches several corners of the world. And also just generally, science is fucking badass. Like, it is really
Yeah.
cool that we can have a problem that spans so many different communities and
Uh,
so many different touches so many different lives, and smart people can just get into a lab and figure out a better way to solve this problem. So anytime something like that comes up, it always speaks to me. But obviously, opioids is something that has ravished so many lives
yeah.
in today's world, and it's cool that we're actually putting out some options out there that will not be as reliant when people are in pain on opioids specifically.
There's almost no one I know that isn't touched in some way, shape, or form
Yeah.
by an
Yeah.
opioid addiction, right? Like
Yep.
they know someone. We all do. We
Mhm.
all do.
Mhm.
So this is like, yeah, this is amazing news. Like this had again, like so many problems that we've
Yes.
faced as a society and as a country and as people. This doesn't just affect like this isn't just some boogeyman that they're trying to scare you with, right? This is
Mhm.
your brother and sister, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, right? Like someone who is struggling with
Your
opioid
favorite
addiction,
NFL player,
Yep.
your
right?
favorite
Your favorite
NFL
All
player.
player,
walks
your
of
favorite
life.
any athlete, like we've all been fed. Like I got a surgery when I was 17 years old. They sent me home with a bottle of 30
Right.
of them. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like that's what it was at. Like 30 of them at
Mhm.
17 years old. So this is not like a small thing. This is a huge, huge piece of good news.
Yeah, this is life changing. This is world changing news, and so happy to hear this, man. I've known so many people up in this area affected by
Mhm.
opioid addiction. It leads to other things as well, and it's a very very big problem in this country. It continues to be every day, and this is the first step towards a better future for us, for our children, and our children's children. So, Eric, thank you for sharing that with us tonight. That is going to do
No
it
doubt.
for us on this episode of the In Between Fantasy Football podcast. If you rode with us this long, do us a quick favor, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the whole damn channel. If you're new, we've got NFL betting, college football betting, NASCAR betting, PGA betting, and of course, some entertainment betting as well, all to help you cash more and enjoy the ride along the way. please do us a favor. Also, while you're around, check out inbetweenmedia.com for written content and upcoming live events, including our draft night out in Canton, Ohio this summer in August. For Steve Lawson and Eric Romoff, I'm Seth Woolcock. Thanks for watching, y'all. Take care.